Welcome to the What If Ask AI channel. On this channel, we ask multiple AI services what if questions. The what if questions was made back in my childhood when I was asked to put all my questions in a binder because my family was tired of me asking them all the questions I had in mind. Now, later in the future, I'm taking the questions I made from my childhood and asking the AI services the questions and reviewing and judging their responses. I hope you enjoy this channel. Welcome back to the What If Ask AI channel, and today we're looking at this question right here. What if a person ran 500 miles per hour? As I always, have two examples of what if questions to help give the AI services exactly what I'm looking for. And then also the AI services I'll be using today is ChatGPT, Copilot, Gemini, Perplexity, and Meta AI. So let's start by asking the question, what if a person ran 500 miles per hour? So ChatGPT's answer is this: that would be an extraordinary and astonishing feature. A person running at 500 miles per hour would be moving faster than any aircraft during takeoff, and people would likely be amazed by such an ability. All right, now let's ask Copilot that same question. What if a person ran 500 miles per hour? All right, I'm going to read a short answer, but I'm going to read also the big answer as well. If a person somehow ran 500 miles per hour, the short answer is that would be absolutely wild. And then the long answer is, I'd say that would be beyond incredible. At 500 miles per hour, you'd basically be a real life superhero, breaking every speed record humans have ever dreamed about. I'd probably just look at you like, yeah, that's not running anymore. That's straight up defying physics. But I'd still be impressed. All right, now let's ask Gemini that same question. What if a person ran 500 miles per hour? Okay, here is Gemini's answer right here. Well, I'd say you'd give the Flash a serious run for his money, and your shoe budget would probably be astronomical. Now let's ask Perplexity that same question. What if a person ran 500 miles per hour? Here is Perplexity's answer. That would be extraordinary and quite unbelievable, and I'd be amazed by such a feat. Now let's ask Duck AI that same question. What if a person ran 500 miles per hour? Here's its answer. If a person ran 500 miles per hour, they'd basically be moving fast enough to reach high Mach speeds, so they couldn't run in any normal athletic sense. The air would create intense aerodynamic forces and heat, and the person would likely suffer extreme injuries and also wouldn't be able to generate enough usable ground traction or safely control their body at that speed. Okay, now I've gotten my ranking for the AI services, 1 being the best out of the 5, and then 5 being the worst out of the 5. And for this one, I have Perplexity. Honestly, I just gave it a 5 because all the other answers from the other AI services I felt like were just better, in my opinion, and that kind of had either something, a reality of the question, or kind of something joking about the question, or something from a superhero or anything like supernatural things. So that's why I put Perplexity at a 5. It just said it would be extraordinary and quite unbelievable. I just felt like the AI services gave better answers. For number 4, I have ChatGPT, and the reason I put 4 as ChatGPT is because it kind of used the same word as Perplexity, extraordinary and astonishing. And then it did say it could move faster than any aircraft during takeoff. Now, I don't know these things. I didn't take time to look it up, so I'm just going to assume that this is true. But for anybody watching out there, never assume that these AI services are telling the truth. They could be hallucinating. So always look at a different source, or always try to make it cite its sources. But yeah, it said that it would be faster than any aircraft during takeoff. So I thought that was pretty amazing that that's a fact, or it might not be a fact, but that's why I put ChatGPT as 4 because it revealed that information. And then for number 3, I put Gemini, and I laughed at this reference because the Flash, it said that you'd give him a serious run for his money. And it's funny because, like, in a metaphorical sense, he's correct, but also this can be also be done literally because you run fast, right? So I thought that was hilarious that it used that because it meant it literally and figuratively when it said that. And then it also said the shoe budget would be astronomical, so you probably have to get a new pair of shoes every few days. So that's why I put Gemini as number 3. And then as number 2, I put Duck AI. And the reason I put Duck AI as number 2 is because, again, I don't know if all this stuff is true, but it mentioned how a real person couldn't actually run in a normal athletic sense if they're running 500 miles per hour. And then also mentioned how there could be extreme heat injuries just because of the way they're running, and they're not able to generate enough ground traction or safely control their body. So like things like that. I thought that was very interesting, so that's why I put it as number 2. And then number 1, I put Copilot. And the reason I put Copilot as number 1 was because it mentioned that you'd be defying physics. So that means you'll be like changing how physics works, or like you'd be basically be an interesting part to study. And then also mentioned the person being a real life superhero, then also being able to break Olympic records. Like basically all the Olympic records that deal with like track, that person would have their name on it, right? So that's why I put Copilot as number 1. So again, my ranking is the following: Perplexity is 5, ChatGPT is 4, Gemini is 3, Duck AI is 2, and Copilot is 1. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.